In this video, I'm going to be reviewing the Lalo Toile Imperiale writing pad. I'll go over the specs, I'll do a paper test, and I'll tell you what I like and don't like about this paper coming up. Blake here with Blake's Broadcast. On this channel, I review fountain pens, paper, and ink, and as always, I put links in the show notes in the description below. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps out my channel. Alright, let's get on with the review. So this is the Lalo Toile Imperiale writing tablet. And let's talk a little bit about Lalo. So Lalo is a brand of stationery that is owned by the ex-Comte de Clairefontaine group. And you know, if you use fountain pens, you're probably very familiar with a lot of their products. They make, well, Clairefontaine, as you could guess. They make Rhodia. They do J. Urban inks. They have like 3,300 employees between 50 companies, and they produce 240,000 tons of paper each year. I have a lot of facts on that company because I was trying to find more details specifically about Lalo, and I couldn't really find too much. I just know that it was started in 1920, or in some cases I see 1919, by George Lalo, who was a French soldier, and he made stationery in Paris. Now, they still say that they're made in Paris, and there is a company called Establishment Lalo, which is in the 10th arrondissement of Paris. I can't see that in their giant org chart, so I don't know exactly what that is. And when I look at the building, it says ex-Comte ex-Claire. So anyway, there's just not a lot of really good information out there. You know, they say that it was used in royal courts in Belgium and Monaco and, I don't know, maybe France. I have no idea. Anyway, doesn't really matter. What really matters is that this is really nice paper. It's not crazy expensive for what you're getting. My favorite papers from Lalo, they do not carry in the United States. Ex-Comte Clairefontaine has their own company in the United States, their own distributor, and for whatever reason, they do not bring in Toile Imperiale. So for the Paper Mind, I have special ordered some Toile Imperiale writing tablets. I've ordered some of their envelopes, card sets, and letter sets, just because I really like this paper, and you can't get it anywhere else as far as I know in the United States. Now you can buy it from places, I've seen it in Canada, and when I've bought this in the past, I usually have to order it from a store in Europe, and of course you have to pay for expensive shipping. So I've started carrying this at the Paper Mind. I also got a couple of the other papers that I really like that, again, they don't carry in the United States, and that's Vellon de France and Vellon Pure Cotton. I'll do reviews of these separately. Lalo's most popular product, I believe, is this Verge de France paper. This is a really nice laid paper. It comes in a lot of different colors. Let's talk about the writing pad here. So have these, this is the A5 size. I also have them in A4, and the A5 is $17 and the A4 is $23. And for Blake's Broadcast viewers and subscribers, you do get 10% off with code BB10 at checkout. Let's walk through the writing pad. So we have this kind of, I don't know what I want to call it, like dark pink or maroon cover here, and then we have like a white embossed, this is raised on the cover here. You get 50 sheets. It's 100 GSM paper. Now the Toile Imperiale cards are 300G, and this is my personal one, which I've used. You do get a guide sheet, which is really helpful. It's pretty opaque, but not so opaque that you can't use the guide sheet. Now in terms of the paper itself, it has this really nice linen finish to it, and it's surprisingly nice to write on. Now, every paper has two sides to it. There's a front and a back, even though for a lot of papers today you wouldn't know that because they're so similar. With this one, the back side is significantly smoother than the front side. The texture is for sure less apparent on the back side, and that's just part of the way that paper is made. You're not really able to have the same front as the back, especially when you have a texture like this. Now, both sides are very fountain pen friendly. I'm just pointing that out. If you wanted to write on both sides, you're not going to have the same surface, basically. But both sides are very fountain pen friendly. Now, going to the writing sample, we have the Pilot 6mm. Yeah, I mean, honestly, the front of this looks really good. I'd say the only one that maybe doesn't look as perfect is maybe the Pilot High-Tech Point and the Oto Fude Ball. Those look, they're maybe like a little bit more scraggly looking beyond, just the texture of the linen surface of the paper. But everything else here looks really good. And I just realized I didn't do my Troublemaker pens. Let's go do that really quick. So let's see how I did with those. So, again, looking at the fronts, actually all these Troublemaker pens look really good on the front, no issue there. Really, I'd say it's these really wide and wet rollerball pens that are maybe the more problematic. Now, if we go to the back, we can see there's just a touch of spotting on the Pilot parallel pen. You can just kind of see it come through in little dots. Honestly, that probably wouldn't prevent me from writing on both sides. This kind of bleed through isn't really distracting or bothersome to me. Now, all the other fountain pens passed no problem. So if you're not using a 6mm type pen, you're probably fine. The Pilot 3mm was fine. My Namiki Emperor Broad, the Platinum 3776, no bleed through. The one with the music nib, Aurora Italic nib, didn't come through. And then when we get to the Oto Fude Ball, which was one that I said maybe didn't look the best on the front, don't see any bleed through there. I do see just very faint spotting on the Pilot High-Tech Point 1.0mm. And then on the Uniball Air Micro, the 0.5mm, I see a little bit of spotting there. Pentel Energel, maybe a touch of spotting. And then the fine liners all did really nicely. As you would expect, the Pilot oil drawing pen came through in spots. In terms of like the Troublemaker pens, I don't really find this performance to be terrible. If you don't go on both sides, you could honestly use this Copic sketch on this paper. Staedtler Lumocolor permanent marker, this one, that I do see through in spots, and the Sharpie came through. Overall, this is definitely fountain pen friendly. I really like writing on this paper. In terms of like the texture, this is a double broad that I had ground into, I want to say it's a formal italic or cursive italic. This is, you can definitely feel some of the texture, but like the feedback is like the nib is not catching on anything, and honestly this is quite smooth, but you do certainly feel that linen texture. You go to a more fine nib, I would say actually more than that sharp italic or cursive italic nib, you definitely feel more of the feedback, but it's really nice. That I think is a fine. This is also a fine. And then if we switch over to the back, now this side is a lot smoother, the back side, and this is very smooth. Yeah. Yeah. So backside's very smooth. The front, you do have that linen finish texture, but I really like writing on it. When you pick up this paper, you're never going to confuse this for some kind of printer or copier paper. Okay, so what are my pros and cons for the Lalo Toile Imperiale writing pad? Well, the biggest pro here is, of course, the paper. It has a really beautiful linen canvas-like finish. That texture really adds depth and gives you kind of a sense of occasion when you're writing on this paper. It feels special. It is special, really. It's great with fountain pens. It's great with roller balls. Pretty much any kind of normal writing instrument works really well with this paper, so I really like that. I also like that this line is very full. So you have the A5 size, you get an A4 size, you get different envelope sizes, you get letter sets, card sets. If you want like a 300G card, you can have that. So I really like that the line is very complete. And this is made in France, Paris, I believe, by a heritage stationery maker. So that just always adds to the specialness of the product. Now, in terms of cons, it does only come in white, so you gotta like white. There's no cream, there's no other colors like you get in the Verge de France line. So white only. And I don't necessarily like the color of the packaging for this particular line. That's a really small gripe. It is a nice embossed packaging, but still not my favorite. You know, compared to like the original Crown Mill, which has like a really beautiful, I think, cover, this one is a little bit less exciting, but the paper itself is gorgeous. And the other thing is, you know, when you have a texture like this, every paper has two sides to it. With this one, you know, because you have that more prominent texture, the other side, you know, the main pretty side, I would say, both sides are pretty, but the main textured side is quite a bit different than the back side, and that's just sort of the nature of this kind of paper. So some people may not like that. They're both fountain pen friendly, they're both quite nice to write on, but I could see some people not liking that, considering the experience if you decide to write on the back is not the same. But that's pretty much it. Do you guys have this writing pad or any of the Toile Imperiale line? Please let me know in the comment section. If you like this video, please hit that like button. And if you want to see more fountain pen, paper, and ink videos, please hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much, and until next time.